listen to a lecture and they're using the white man's books and then telling you the white man's the devil. They're using the white man's references in origin and then telling you the white man's the devil. And bottom line, in this scheme of things that I said before, I don't care if you're reading information that comes from somebody black, white, or Asian. It all goes back to the original melanated people on the planet. So even if they're teaching something, if you're not intelligent enough to see what they got and how they grafted of it, and your only defense is, oh, don't read that because that's white people shit, then you're a very weak-minded individual and you're not a god as you claim. You're not able to decipher and assimilate what applies and what doesn't, because a true magician incorporates everything and knows how to assimilate it and apply it. So when we're using the word black magician, or we use the word alchemy or alchemist, when you phonetically break down that word, you have the definite article al in the Arabic language and the word chemist or chem. You're basically saying the black scientist or the black chemist. And we know a chemist or a scientist works with the various elements, works with nature, incorporates science and mathematical principles. Whether you're doing this in alchemy or magic, this is what a true black magician does. So let's take away the spookism and the mythology and all the negative connotations that come along when somebody says they're a black magician. And, you know, again, people can get caught up in these philosophies and they get spooked out. And then you do have some people that go to the extreme. And they don't know how to express it. And we kind of did a show on Awakening Universal Minds this past week on the chakras and the throat chakra, which deals with expression. Just like in any other culture and religion, people now have turned, as we've discussed on the show, they kind of turned spiritual magic and occult knowledge into a religion. And everybody wants to create this persona about them, that they're a dark occultist and they're this and they're that. And they're getting caught up in the physical imagery and what it represents, and they're trying to portray this dark occultist image to people, because now they have gotten away from the science and the core and the origin of the practice, and now they now have turned it into a religion, just like they've done everything else. So let's eliminate that. Now, I want to eliminate that spookism, because by term, if you need a definition, when people ask me what it is I deal with, that's what I deal with. I deal with spiritual black magic, but not on a mundane or a spooky level. Unfortunately, you have to give titles and definitions to some people because they can't relate or identify if you can't put some type of definition on it. In essence, what I deal with, and others like me, has no beginning or reference point, or no ending reference point. We practice the ancient sciences that predate any modern level of information, historical information, that you can go back to a multitude of years. This level of knowledge and practice predates any religion, philosophy, or culture that one wants to identify with. When you take it beyond the physical and you start dealing with the metaphysical principles of it, and you start dealing with the various higher states of consciousness, and like I said, some people call it the ethers, dealing with the etheric realm. Some people in other philosophical systems of magic and spirituality, some people refer to it as the world of the silver cord, the vital life force world. It's all the same thing, all the same terminology. It's beyond the physical, and it deals with the etheric counterpart to everything that exists physically. There's a principle and element in magic of that one has to understand. So when you start dealing with the etheric realm or the ethers, now you get into a whole state of existence. You're not dealing with physical mundane information. But I want to go through some basic philosophies of magic real quick, to eliminate some of the spookism. What is magic? Witchcraft? Any variation you want to call it. I'm going to take some basic explanations out of the Complete Book of Witchcraft and Magic by Raymond Buckland, who, if you really want to study and learn about the principles of witchcraft, this is a very good book to get. I'll put it up there on the screen. Excellent book. Complete Book of Witchcraft. Raymond Buckland has also put out a series of books on candle burning magic that I've mentioned in the past. Actually, let me grab those and throw those up on the screen. There's another good book by Raymond Buckland I recommend if candle magic is one of the things you decide that you practice. It's Practical Candle Burning Rituals by Raymond Buckland. Now, another book I just want to throw up there, real hard book to get. If you can find this, I actually found this in a old bookstore in New York years back. It's actually a collector's. You can find it if you scavenger it. It's written by the Philosophical Library. Hardcover book. It's a treasury of witchcraft. Okay, and in here, let me just give you an example. If you really want to understand what black magic, spiritual magic, witchcraft, it has sections on black and white magic, effects on individuals and communities, magic techniques, spells, conjurations, incantations, formulas. It deals with raising the dead, Satan or the devil, deals with what they call modern day devil worship. It's dispelling some of the myths on that. Operations of magic, sympathetic magic, herb lore, witches and warlocks, the black mass, things of that nature. It'll kind of give you some detailed information on that and dispel the myths on this mythological character that was also created by the minds of the individuals that penned it. Just as they created God, they also created this fictitious character, the devil, when a real spiritual practitioner and black magician knows there's no difference between the two. They're just a representation of vibrational energies and frequencies that mortals had to title. And again, when you go back to the Hermetic principles of Tahuti, and as I've said before, if you are an alchemist or you are somebody that practices spiritual black magic, mastering the 7 Hermetic principles is key in working spiritual magic, because they have the foundation and the basis of the mindset of a true practitioner. And again, the key is that first Hermetic principle: all is mental, mental is all. None of this exists outside of yourself. You will not find the answers and the solutions to any problems outside of yourself. Literally impossible. You will not find the creator. You will not understand how nature works until you understand yourself. Once you understand self, you will find out you are the deity that is controlling the forces to the universe, and how you connect to that cosmic consciousness or that spiritual energy that you're calling God. All right. So here from Raymond Buckland's, and I want to go through this and we'll finish with this. Just to give you some general ideas of the concepts and the mindset of somebody that practices spiritual black magic or magic in general. This is coming on from page 9. If you do have Buckland's complete book to witchcraft, if you go to page 9, it's on lesson 1, the history and the philosophy of witchcraft and magic. It says, we practice rites to attune ourselves with the natural rhythm of life forces marked by the phases of the moon and the seasonal quarters and cross quarters. So one of the aspects of magic, as it says here, is, and this is going to eliminate all the spookism, you'll see the spirituality, and this goes way beyond what people think it is. So it talks, one aspect is working with the planets and the moon and the effect on the planets. So it has a nature-based origin to it, especially when you're practicing what they call white magic. So they're rites that attune yourselves in with the natural rhythm of life forces. Very important for a spiritual magician. The second one, we recognize that our intelligence gives us a unique responsibility toward our environment. Let me say that's key. We recognize, a magician recognizes that our intelligence gives us a unique responsibility toward our environment. So this is a responsibility. Coming along doing this means being responsible, okay? And unfortunately, people that claim to be conscious don't have that level of responsibility, because now you become accountable when you have the knowledge. You become responsible in the sense it's your job to teach and educate, meaning some people that get higher levels of information like to keep it secret, or they think they're keeping it secret, where they feel like if they know something that somebody else doesn't know, they have power. And as I've said before, the greatest secret is creating the illusion that there's a secret. There is no secret when you're spiritually in tune with the universe, because you're able to access and open up all doors of consciousness and able to tap into it. If you're one of those individuals that think that you're affiliating with people, groups, or individuals, and you're going to get some great secret then you're the perfect mindset to be manipulated. And if I knew you had that mindset and I wanted to manipulate you, I could manipulate your ass all day and create that illusion. So we got to get out of that sickness. It goes on to say, we seek to live in harmony with nature, in ecological balance, offering fulfillment to life and consciousness within an evolutionary concept. So everything is evolving and changing. So what a true spiritual black magician or somebody creating their own path does is they're able to evolve and change with the times. And that's key, because one of the first laws in dealing with metaphysics is anything that doesn't change dies. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't want to change. And that's why I said in the very beginning when I started doing this class is people feel if they can't do something that was written down or something that they identified with somewhere, recorded somewhere in a book, if they can't identify with it, they don't deal with it. They write it off as being something that's not legitimate. These are the same people that don't want to change. And a true spiritual practitioner of the black arts, or somebody that's creating their own spiritual path, is always open to change, because things are constantly changing. As we uncover things, as we study, as we spiritually grow, and we open ourselves up to new things, in that newness comes change. Okay. Number 3, we acknowledge the depth of power far greater than the apparent to the average person, because it is far greater than ordinary. It is sometimes called supernatural, for lack of a better word, but we see it as lying within that which is naturally potential to all. So a spiritual black magician, or a magician in general, always is able to put anything into context. What might appear to be supernatural has its place and has a factual explanation to it. We don't just write it off as that. Number 4, we can see the creative power in the universe as manifesting through polarity. The doctrine of polarity. Go back to the Hermetic principles. As masculine and feminine, and that in the doctrine of gender, and that this same creative power lies in all people and functions through the interaction of the masculine and the feminine forces. And for all you Baphomet occultists, if you really focus and study on the image of what Baphomet represents, it's the totality of what a real spiritual magician deals with. As I've said before, when you get to the breakdown on that, it has the representation of the masculine and feminine energies with the face of a male goat man and the breasts of a female, representing those masculine and feminine forces. It has that doctrine of polarity, as above so below, the doctrine of correspondences, as within so without. You have the symbol pointing up and down, one finger pointing up, one finger pointing down. You have inscribed on the arm the term of coagulation or transformation that alchemist practices. You have the 4 elements represented again, as I've said before in the past, in the symbol of Baphomet. You have the Kundalini rising. And you look by the pineal gland, you see the flame representing the element of fire or transformation. You have in the abdomen area, if you look on the symbols of Baphomet, the webs, okay, representing the water element, the wings representing the air, and obviously you see Baphomet perched on the earth. As we know, a goat always likes to be perched on high, to look down upon and always observe its subjects. That's a powerful symbol for a black magician when they really meditate and focus on what Baphomet is and the energy that the symbol represents. Not just get caught up in wearing the symbol, because unfortunately that becomes a fad. You see a lot of people wearing and I have one that I will wear, but most people don't understand what it really represents. They do it because it's a fad and it's a trend, so they're wearing their pentagram with the head of Baphomet in it, and and it looks cool, and but people don't really know the essence and origin of the symbol.